Thank you all for being here. My name is Kyle with MedCircle, and this is one of our free events. And we're talking about a very highly requested topic with a very highly requested doctor. The topic is fear of intimacy, and here to shed light on that topic and answer your questions is Dr. Ish Major. Dr. Ish, first of all, great name. And thank you for coming on MedCircle. This is your first time, and I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks so much for having me, Kyle. I appreciate it, man. Been looking forward to it.
We're live on YouTube and Facebook as well. So if you're watching this live and I say the poll's on the screen or something and you go, I don't see any poll, that's because we're also on Zoom. So the Zoom people have access to Dr. Ish. You can register for Dr. Ish's next live class at medcircle.com/live. Let's get into today's topic, which is fear of intimacy. And we're going to start with our first question, which is, what is a fear of intimacy?
That's the $1 million question. To me, the fear of intimacy is the fear of rejection, right? Because what is it we want? What does that mean? When we talk about intimacy and sex, we don't really have a good definition. So to me, intimacy is love and belonging. Right. And so there's nothing to fear there, but we fear if it doesn't happen. And so the fear of intimacy to me is I don't want to try because what if I get rejected and how much is that going to hurt and how do I recover? And so we just go and take a hands-off approach. So that's when I hear fear of intimacy, I hear fear of rejection.
So intimacy doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It can be a relationship thing, a vulnerability thing.
Very rarely is intimacy a sexual thing. Intimacy, right? Very rarely. Good intimacy leads to great sex. But intimacy is me being vulnerable and allowing you to see me and to know me and accept me. Mm-hmm. And that leads to this feeling called love and this thing we call belonging. And then from there, we have those things, then we can have an amazing sex life because because that gives us the thing we've ever seen in every romantic comedy, which is we got a connection now, right? And so the one thing has to come first.
If somebody's experiencing a fear of intimacy, or for the purpose of this, let's call it a fear of rejection, what would the opposite feeling be, or the opposite emotional state be of that?
So the opposite emotion of the fear of intimacy or the fear of rejection, the absolute opposite of that is a strong sense of worthiness, right? Because in order to feel love and belonging, you got to believe you're worth it, right? And so if we're thinking about, okay, so what is love? Well, it's, it's such a nebulous term. The best way for me to conceptualize what love means is to think about what's the opposite of that. So the opposite of love to me is shame, right? Love means you accept me. Love means you see it. I don't have to brush it up. I don't have to polish it up. I don't have to put on anything on or take anything off. You see it and you click the box. Yes, opting in on Dr. Ish. Love that, right? So the opposite of that is the opposite of that feeling is shame because you saw it and you were like, no, not doing it, and we internalize these things. So for me, the opposite of that fear of intimacy is a sense of worth, right? They're two totally polar opposite things, two totally opposite life experiences, depending on which one you're feeling most.
Understood. Because it's your first time on MedCircle, Dr. Ish, why don't you give a professional introduction to all of our members?
Yeah, sure. I am Dr. Ish Major, board certified psychiatrist, TV show host, author, and owner of multiple detox clinics around the country. I've been focusing more on relationships, probably, Kyle, for the last 10, 15 plus years, just because it's something that matters, because I know if you can get the love part of your life right, then everything else looks so much better. I grew up with 5 sisters, 8 aunts. My mom and dad were together for 56 years before we lost her. So I know what it looks like, and I know what it feels like to come from a place of love and support and belonging. And if you can, I grew up poor and black in South Carolina. So if you can get the love part right in that house, anything else is possible in life. And I am just a living testament to that.
I love that explanation. The work you do with fear of intimacy, what type of experience do you have treating and working with people?
Yeah, it's an experiment, all right. Well, because
my Freudian slip today.
Right? Well, because guess what? Because none of us gets it right, including me. I remember my lady said, she was like, when we first started dating, she was like, so let me get this straight. You are a relationship expert? I was like, yeah, that's right. She was like, that's impossible because you suck at this. Right?
So what do you tell people about that when you're getting feedback from a girl you're dating that you're no good at this?
And I tell them that is accurate because I'm in it, right? I have fears and I have shame and I have, I don't want to be humiliated and I want to be accepted just like everybody else. So when you're in it, it's so hard to see, right? It's so easy for me to see your stuff and your stuff and your stuff because I don't have an emotional connection to it, right? I'm just here to help. But when it comes to me, it's like, but no, my stuff, I feel my stuff. And so we're all trying to maneuver in those creases so we can feel a little more here and feel a little less here. And that makes us all human and makes us all susceptible to it.
Wow. And too bad you're not a likable guy, You would just be the full package if you were likable. How prevalent do you think the fear of intimacy or the fear of rejection, as you put it, is?
Yeah, I would say probably 30% of the people on this earth truly live what we called a wholehearted life, right? They dive in. They're like, hey, this is, this is me and take it or leave it. And I'm living the best that I can. And I'm, trying to feed as many people as I can the right way. And my goal is just to show up and feel good and do a little good in the world. But most of us have those fears, man. Most of us have, those shame triggers. And especially if we grew up here in the States, right? Because our contribution to the culture here is the pop culture, right? It's TV stuff. It's media, and there's so many opportunities on TV, online, in print, every day for us to feel a little bit less than, Well, this person gets on TV all the time and they look like that. So maybe I need to look like that. And if I don't, then maybe something's wrong. Well, this person sounds like that and I don't sound like that. And maybe that's why nobody pays attention to me. Or this person has achieved these things and I haven't achieved half of that. So there's so many opportunities for us to feel less than about who we are, what we drive, where we live, the clothes we have, how my hair looks, or how my hair doesn't look because I don't have any. Right? And so it's hard, man. Our culture makes it hard on us.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for our members to be able to ask you these questions. We're going to dive in right now. If you're watching live on Zoom and you would like to ask Dr. Ish a question, use the Q&A box below the screen. This MedCircle member says, I fear intimacy because of sexual abuse. How do I get over that, Dr. Ish?
That's a great question. So what the numbers will say is 2 to 3 out of every 5 women in particular, a little bit less when you include guys, have experienced some type of trauma. And as a child psychiatrist, I can tell you that the numbers are much higher. It comes in the way that you classify. So number one, I'm sorry that happened to you. And I'm sorry you're still dealing with that as an adult. One of the key things that goes along with that sexual trauma is that we internalize what that means. And we internalize a sense of worth and a lack of a sense of worth because of it, right? I some young girls who go through a sexual trauma, they will get over-sexualized and think because, well, that's the only thing that I have a value, so that's what I'll lead with. And then some folks will go the opposite way. Now, if it's still causing you some intimacy problems, some uncomfortable problems, that tells me that you've got what I call an unhealed childhood wound wrapped around the sexual trauma, right? And so you've got to heal that wound. And so that can come in a few different ways. That comes in a few different packages. The first package is to be able to put that shame aside, right? Because we feel like, well, maybe there was something wrong with me. I did something to deserve it. Whatever those feelings are, the way you start to own your worth is start to own your story. So you've got to take that story and you've got to start telling that story in a different way, right? This is the thing that happened. We tell the story of our trauma like this. This is the thing that happened, and this is, what it did to me. So this is how I show up in life now. Okay, great. Tell that story from the end now, because you are here and you have conquered your fear of intimacy. You want to go there, and it's just a little hitch in your giddy up. So tell the story from then. Hey, you know what? I am here and I am trying and I'm available and I know I need some love in my life and I know I'm worth it. And let me tell you what I had to get over just to get to that point, right? Owning that story, that little flip helps you take the next step forward. Now, a lot of things happen in this situation, Kyle, where just that experience will start to bring you right back to the time when you're getting abused, right? It's a helpless, powerless feeling. And so a lot of people will tense up. They will start to relive some of those traumatic experiences. They will start to see some of those things in their mind, have those thoughts. And every time or every second or third time, it's like that, which tells me you also are going to need to do some therapy there on the back end to really go back. You never have to go through the gory details of it, but just to understand what happened and how you feel about it now and how you felt about it then. Because the takeaway message that abusers give you, whether it's physical abuse, emotional, verbal, sexual, is that you deserved it. And that part just ain't true.
When should people, or if people should at all, confront their partner about their own abusive history? If they feel they want to share that, is that something, I'm certainly phrasing this question wrong, but is that something that they should feel good doing? And can they go to somebody and say, look, I just got to tell you this before we take this any further? Yeah,
I think, right. So we're talking about intimacy, right? That is a level of intimacy. Before you go there, that's an okay conversation to have, because the thing about trauma, the thing about unhealed trauma is we don't know when it's going to come out. Right? We just don't know. I feel comfortable here, and I feel very comfortable being vulnerable and letting you see me. But once I'm in that situation and the chemicals in our brain start taking over, the dopamine kicks in because I'm excited, serotonin kicks in because I'm feeling good, all those things. Well, that chemical soup can mirror the chemical soup that was going on during the abuse, and it can trick your mind into thinking it's happening all over again, even though you know it's not. And so I think in order to prepare your partner for who you are, right? I like pre-paving situations to make sure that things go right. I don't like driving into the woods without a road there. So pre-pave the situation. And it's as simple as, hey, I've been through some things in the past, and I think I've dealt with them pretty well, but I just want you to be aware, some of that was sexually related, or some of it was emotionally related. And so, very rarely does it happen now, but every now and then something may come tumbling out, and I want you to understand it doesn't have anything to do with you, right? Because once there are things that happen in relationships that once they are said, we can't unhear them, and once they are done, we can't undo them. And so we're in an intimate situation, and somebody's experiencing some negative emotion from a horrible thing that happened, flashbacks, reliving, nightmares. Oh my God, I'm looking at my lover, but I'm actually seeing my abuse, right? If that thing happens, you can't undo that once it happens. So pre-pave the way so your partner knows what's going on and knows how they should feel and how they can help you through it, right? Because you're there to help each other feel good. And so there may be some things they can do in that situation to help you through it. As simple as saying, if they know that it's a possibility that can happen in that moment, now your partner can say, hey, what do you need me to do? Right? And that one phrase gives you control back, and now you feel more comfortable.
Excellent. This MedCircle member asks, I have dismissive avoidant attachment style, and I'm currently working on changing it. I have the belief that getting too intimate would cause me to lose my identity or get smothered by someone rather than thinking about rejection. What are your thoughts about it? Is the fear of rejection more subconscious since I'm unaware of it?
Oh, I love those dismissive avoidance. I am a card carrying member myself, right? Uh, And and so at the heart of having a dismissive avoidant attachment style, the core belief is nobody will ever be able to take care of me as well as I can take care of myself. So that's the core belief, right? And so if you're trying to get around that core belief, you've got to do two things. You've got to get really, really good, because dismissive avoidance, of which I am the king and the president of that group, right? The thing we are really, really good at is avoiding our own emotions. And so the first thing you've got to get good at is understanding how you feel, right? And what you need in this situation to feel better. The second thing you've got to do is get really good at asking for it. Because that's the thing, no dismissal. We just don't ask. We show up, we do a million things to make it so, and we wait to see, are they going to give it back? We never ask, we never say, and it doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen in the way that we can receive it. And then we're like, oh, I knew it. You can't take care of me as well as I can either. And then we move on to the next thing. So you've got to get good at acknowledging your feelings, asking for what you need, and then just receiving it. Just let it, just receive it, right? Somebody's presenting you a cupcake. Take it, eat it. It's okay.
So, and a cupcake, I can accept a cupcake. That's fine. But if I show up to a surprise awards banquet for myself, oh my gosh, I would be like, why? This is a nightmare. So is it possible where people are struggling with something much more substantial, that they can start with accepting their version of a cupcake, something small, something doable?
Absolutely. Start with the little things. For me, man, it's so funny. For years, I had the toughest time just accepting a compliment. Hey, that's a nice suit you got on. Oh wow, you're really handsome. Oh wow, I love that. I would immediately go into downplay. Oh, it's no big deal. Oh, it's no, don't worry, because there's an underlying worth issue there, right? Mm-hmm. And so, so great. That's a great point. If you can't start with the big things, accept the little things. Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? You look really great today. Oh, thank you so much. No explanations. You don't have to say anything else, right? Kyle, that's a great shirt you got on, buddy.
Thanks. Let's go to our next question.
Right? Done. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. But it starts with those little things.
Yeah, that's great. We're all guilty of that, by the way. So today, practice that. If you're fortunate enough to get a compliment from somebody, just say thanks and move on.
Yeah.
This person is saying, Dr. Ish, I'm so excited to be in the same virtual room with you. My question is that I've struggled with emotional intimacy for most of my life. I've been with my partner for 8 years and we are engaged to be married, yet I still have difficulty opening up to my partner, even though I see him as safe. I consider myself to be an open person with others, but not with my partner. Why is this? And what can I do to overcome my fear of vulnerability?
I love this question. And I can tell how smart this person is, because the key word in there, they almost answered their own question. I feel safe with my partner, right? So emotional intimacy, emotional vulnerability, it's a question of safety. How safe do you feel with this person? How safe do you feel letting them see all of you and making a decision about whether they're going to accept you into their life or not, right? And so it's a big safety thing. And so, yeah, she's having a problem ultimately with vulnerability. And so in any situation, when you're trying to, when we're looking, in her situation, it's love and belonging and connection. So imagine yourself walking into a room, and you can walk into a room full of strangers with one or two goals, right? On one goal is you want to walk in and be accepted. The other goal is you want to walk in and just be seen. So if I'm walking into a room and my goal is to be accepted by the people in there, then now I am going to create a persona that I think is going to be accepted in that room. There's some things I'm going to say that I think they'll like, and there's some things I'm not going to say, right? There's a way I'm going to dress, there's a way I'm going to walk, there's a way I'm going to talk and act, there's a way I'm going to shake hands, because I want their acceptance. But if I'm walking in that room simply to be seen, here I am, taking a leap, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different thing. Because in the room where I want to be accepted, if it doesn't happen, now I'm feeling ashamed because I got rejected. In the room where I just wanted to be seen, whether that acceptance happens or not, I'm okay because I did my job, which was simply to be seen. So when you're approaching your partner, approach it from a sense of, I just want him to see me. That's it. I don't need him to accept me because I accept all of me. I accept me. And,
right.
I just want him to see me fully. Or I'm assuming it's a he. In this situation, I just want them to see me fully. And in that instant, right, there's something cool that happens when the person you're with sees you letting yourself be seen, right?
Ooh.
They recognize that vulnerability, right? And now you just move 10 steps closer.
And don't you think we're attracted to it? Maybe we don't sit there and go, I love this vulnerability I'm seeing, but we certainly go, I don't know what it is, but I'm drawn over here.
Right. We are. It's the ultimate aphrodisiac, Kyle, because they trust me. They feel safe with me, right? Mm-hmm. They want to be with me enough to show me all of who they are, and they're going to let me make an informed decision. Right. Mm-hmm. So there's an inherent level of trust and respect that goes with me showing you who I am. And we get that on a very cellular, unspoken level. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, if you are joining MedCircle today for the first time, like Dr. Ish is, you'll be happy to know that MedCircle offers 3 great services and offerings for those who are interested in learning more about mental health. We have the only video streaming service for mental health featuring psychologists and psychiatrists like Dr. Ish on a variety of mental health topics. You can browse that video library at watch.medcircle.com. We do weekly live classes with those same doctors and patients and survivors of mental health. You can look at our schedule of upcoming live virtual classes at medcircle.com/live. And of course, it all comes together very nicely in the MedCircle app. It's free to download and comes with lots of free series for you to watch. Just search MedCircle in the App Store. Dr. Ish, the next question from this MedCircle member asks, how do you reparent yourself from a lack of intimacy in childhood?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. You know, our parents show up and they do the best they can with the tools they have. But we show up in adulthood and we just assume that what they taught us was right. So the first step to reparenting is re-questioning. Okay, this is how dad did it. Ask yourself the next question. How do I know that was right? How do I know that was right? This is what he did. This is how it worked out for him. Worked out pretty good. But first of all, who taught him that? And how do I know they were right? Right. And so reparenting means it's
I'm dated, but I feel like.
Say again.
Go ahead.
No, reparenting is like I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and so if I can work a Luke Skywalker or a Yoda quote into any conversation, I will. So right, Yoda says, right. You must unlearn what you have learned, and so a lot of reparenting is just unlearning some of those not so great habits that they taught you in order to make it fit into with your life, right? The thing we do as adults subconsciously that we don't even realize is that very few of us are really just living for us, right? We're really living to still kind of make our folks who love us proud. And to be a shining example of, what they taught us, right? 90%, Kyle, of the decisions that we all make in life, don't care where you're from, don't care where you live, 90% of the decisions we make are based on what other people think. Family, friends, think about that, right? Family, friends, loved one. Every car you bought, every house, every shirt, you think about what the people are going to think who watch you in that car, or in that shirt, or in that house, or in that job, where you live, who you love. Isn't that devastating just to think about that?
Yeah, my face is because I am so guilty of this. I just moved to a new city. I'm looking at apartments, and the whole time I'm thinking, well, now if this person comes over, what would they think? And if my nephew comes over who's 3, will he have a good time here? I'm like, everybody else except what does Kyle think?
Right, exactly. And to a certain extent, that's not a bad thing, right? Because we, again, think about, you can never forget what's the goal. Every single day we get up, we want to be loved, we want to be connected, we want to belong. And so we should take some of those things into consideration, but that shouldn't be the ultimate consideration, right? The ultimate consideration is, how do I feel in this apartment? How does Kyle feel? How does Ish feel in this space, right? And if I feel good, then it also follows that the people who know me, who accept me, will also feel good for me, and they'll feel good while they're here. So when it comes to reparenting yourself, that's the first step. You've got to be courageous enough just to ask the question, who taught them that, the thing that they taught me, and how do I know they were right? Because if the things you're doing are helping you feel good, continue to do it. But if it's not, now it's time to ask yourself that question.
But I think a lot of people who want to reparent, they have determined that what their parents did was wrong. So they're not asking, how do I know this was right? They're saying, I know what happened was wrong. And how do I now reteach myself when I've not had proper examples and mentors in front of me?
Right. And so now you're looking for, so now what you're really looking for is authenticity, right? This is the story I thought I had that made sense, but now this story doesn't make sense. So now I'm looking to rediscover myself in a more authentic way. And so the way to do that is to really, number one, get in touch with your feelings. And the way you get in touch with your feelings is to really get in touch with your story. Take ownership of that narrative, whatever that story is. It doesn't have to be a big wild and woolly story, right? If you grew up in the burbs and life was pretty good, but you kind of, wake up on most days than not, and you just don't feel quite right, then own that story and say, hey, you know what? Right, own that. You don't have to water that down for anybody. So listen, this is, on most days, life is pretty good, but I don't feel quite right. And I am on a path to discovering that. And so the way to do that is to allow yourself to follow those little gut intuitions that you get during the day. Then you have that thought that says, oh, you know what? I want to do this because whatever. I don't know why, but something's just telling me to do that thing, right? That's right? That's your intuition talk to you. I don't know why, but I feel like I want some pasta today. Do that, right? Because now you're retraining, you're reparenting yourself to be able to do the things that help you feel good. And there doesn't have to be a reason for it, right? Doesn't have to be a reward. It doesn't have to be a punishment, which is what parenting taught us. You can do the thing that helps you feel good simply because you believe you deserve to feel good today.
Well, look, if y'all don't write that down, record it, bookmark it, save it, tweet it, text it, you got it. But here's the deal. And I don't want to spend too much time on a soapbox, but that was so good. And your job as a listener, as a viewer right now, isn't to just hear that and go, yeah, I guess it was good, or maybe it's good, or maybe you're sitting there go, yeah, that was really good. But now you've got to go do it. Later today, you've got to remember what Dr. Ish just told you, and you have to do it, and you have to practice it. And when you do later today or tomorrow morning or whenever it happens, you need to go, good for you, because you just took this and applied it to your life. And if you're consistent with those little tiny micro changes that have huge, huge, big impacts, you're going to start seeing how this insight and education changes everything. Everything. Awesome. Love that so much. Let's go to this question. This MedCircle member asked, what action should we take when we see ourselves pulling away from connecting with somebody?
Okay. So the first action you should take is you should ask yourself why. Why am I doing that? Is there something about them that tells me this isn't going to work? Okay, why? I like asking the 5 whys when I'm trying to figure out anything, right? So I was connecting with this person, but now I feel myself kind of pulling away. Okay, why? Well, maybe, they show me some things that I don't really like. I don't think it's going to work long term. Okay, why? Well, because I need some folks who are more organized or more whatever. Oh, okay, why, right? So if you ask that question 5 levels deep, why, you will get to the answer. And so if you're in a situation,
the real answer.
Right. The real answer. And the real answer 99.999% of the time has everything to do with you and nothing to do with them. And so there's something to learn about yourself in those situations that you walk away from. And there's usually more to learn about yourself in those situations that you walk away from than there are about those situations that we run towards, right? And so the things that we are fearing shape us more than the things that we love and the things that we aspire to. And so if you're in a situation and you feel like, yeah, I don't know, right? I don't know. And you're walking away, it could be there's something negative there, or it could be the Roadrunner syndrome. I don't know how old you are, Kyle, but I grew up watching Bugs Bunny, right?
Yep.
And so I would watch Wile E. Coyote every Saturday morning, chase Roadrunner all around the desert. And this one time, he finally caught the Roadrunner, but it was a giant Roadrunner, like 10 stories high. And he stood there and he held up a sign that said, "What now?" Right? So this is the thing I've been chasing every Saturday morning for the last 10 years. Now I got it. Now what? So a lot of times we will meet that perfect person, got everything we want. Oh my gosh, they're sweet, sexy, smart, funny, caring, loving, vulnerable, all of these things. Now what? Because if that's who they are, what do they want with me?
Oh, yikes.
Right? So you've got to ask yourself the questions. Why? Why am I doing it? Just know everything you do in life, I want you to know what exactly it is you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you feel about it. Right? Because if you can,
what
right?
was the first one?
So every decision you make in life, I want you to know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you feel about it. Because if you can tick off those 3 boxes for every decision you make, you can go through life with as little baggage as possible because you have completed the process. There's no unfinished emotional business you have about that decision. You know what? I'm going to break up with them, right? Wait, what exactly am I doing? Okay, yes, I am walking away from this relationship. Mm-hmm. This is why, and this is how I feel about it. Now, when it's ready for the next relationship, I don't have that baggage.
Now, we don't have to have our feelings be good, though. Can't I walk away from the relationship because it's unhealthy for me and I deserve more, and I feel really scared about doing this, but I also feel like it's the right decision, so I'm going to do it anyway.
Right. So they're your feelings, and you have ownership of those, and nobody's got to co-sign on those feelings for you. You just got to be aware of what it is. So that's a very important point. It doesn't have to be a good, warm, fuzzy, yah, rah, rah. No, I'm walking away because I'm terrified. Just know that, right?
Yes.
Just know what it is and know why you're doing it. And now that gives you the next thing to work on personally. And so that's what you want to do.
It's good stuff, y'all. This is good. A MedCircle member asked, what are the core beliefs of people who have a fear of intimacy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a very straightforward question, very straightforward answer. The core fears of somebody who has a fear of intimacy is that they're not going to get the love they need to be okay. Right? That's the core fear, right? Fear of intimacy says, I'm scared to try because I don't think it's really going to work. Fear of intimacy says, I don't want to get too close because if it doesn't work, it's going to hurt when I walk away. I had a very old psychotherapy teacher in med school, Dr. Kaplan, and he would say, Ish, the problem with relationships is by the time you figure out it's not going to work, you're already so close that it's going to hurt to break away. And so that's the same thing when it comes to the fear of intimacy. So the core belief, the paramount core belief is, I don't think I'm going to get the love I deserve. Why? Well, I don't think that they can take care of me as well I can take care of myself. Really? Well, why? Well, I don't know if they really know who I am and what I need. Well, why? Well, I can't really tell you what I really need and want myself about me anyway. I have to take something. Why? Well, because the truth is, part of me really doesn't believe I deserve it. Now you got your answer, right? So we've all, Kyle, the thing that I have learned in my nearly 50 years on this planet is that we've all got something we're pretending not to know about ourselves. Right? And the second you're able to say that thing out loud, it goes from 10 feet tall to 10 inches tall.
Yeah.
And now you can wrap your head and your arms around it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody right now is thinking, what's my thing? How do we
Right?
find out that thing? Because mine didn't come to mind quickly.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that like I'm over here without a thing. I've got 50 things. How do we identify some of the most critical?
You're gonna identify that thing because you're gonna find it repeats itself. It shows up in a pattern in your life, right? Maybe it's a pattern in your relationships where they never seem to be quite fulfilling. Maybe it's a pattern in your professional life or your career where you feel like, I did everything, but still didn't achieve the goal I set out to do, right? You're gonna find it in one of those areas is where you're gonna find it. And so that's so pay attention to the patterns, right? There's the universe we live in doesn't make mistakes, and the universe we live in always leaves clues, right? Think of the billions of stars in our universe. Billions. This galaxy, this system, this subsystem, and not once do any of those stars ever collide. Not once. Right? They have a pattern, and they follow that pattern. We, as children of the universe, we have patterns, right? And the deal was, you come here, you show up, you feel what you feel, you love what you love, and then you progress in life. So when that progression doesn't happen naturally, now it makes us stop saying, okay, what is happening here? And I guarantee you, if you go back and examine the patterns of some of your biggest disappointments, right? We've all got those disappointments. Some of us have had some huge ones. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen out of the sky with no parachute. It happens, right? But if you go back and examine the patterns of those biggest disappointments, you will very easily discover what that thing is you're pretending not to know about yourself.
Oh, the thing that you're pretending not to know about yourself. That's on my agenda the rest of the day. And
that's a hard conversation to have with yourself, right? And you may not figure it out in a day.
Exactly. Couldn't I go to somebody who really knows me and say, because I can think about 3 people that I'm close with. I go, I know the thing that they're pretending not to think about.
Right.
Then I ask somebody who's close to me and say, tell me, answer this question for me. Is that cheating?
That's not cheating. That's smart, right? Because again, we tend to know others better than we know ourselves, because we can see and we can look at them objectively, right? And it's super simple. I can remember sitting down with different friends, and there's this thing that's just been on my mind for months, and I sit down, and within 5 minutes, they've given me the answer, right? Because they can see it, because they don't have that emotional connection.
Yeah.
I am emotionally invested in being the best version of myself, so I have a selective blindness when it comes to noticing any weakness. So if you ask your 3 best friends, 3 folks who are closest to you, hey, you know what? I'm doing this thing, and I want you to know you have my permission to be brutally honest with me about this, right? Because they're not going to want to hurt your feelings, because they know you and love you. Yeah. So first of all, if you set it up right, hey, I want you to be brutally honest. Don't sugarcoat it at all. I want to know, what is it you think that, what do you think I may have some blinders on to? Am I might be pretending not to know? And see what they say. You'll be amazed. And again, you're going to pick up on a pattern, and it's going to bring you right in, right into what you want to know.
Wow. This is exciting stuff. I love this a lot. Let's go to another question. There's been a similar question that a lot of people have asked, so I'm just going to bunch it into this question. What can people do if they're in a relationship with somebody, or starting a romantic relationship with somebody, and that person experiences high levels of fear of rejection or fear of intimacy? So how can I support my partner if they're experiencing this type of fear?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first thing to understand is you can't fix it for them. And most of us will spend years, if not decades of our life trying to fix it for them, trying to make it okay for them, trying to convince them that this is the thing to do. So understand that the biggest thing you can do for them is to make them aware of it, right? You're the mirror, right? You reflect it back to them. Hey, it could be me, could be something, could be nothing. But what I think I'm seeing here is you having a fear of this, or because 9 times out of 10, we don't know we're doing it, right? We're kind of showing up and we're on autopilot. So, I like this person, but I don't really know. And I like this person. If it goes south, that's really going to hurt. So let me keep that wall up, keep some distance. And a lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it. Again, card carrying member of that group, right? And so if somebody can simply point it out to you, I'll never forget. Lady I'm dating now, we were in the middle of talking about something. This is like a regular kind of thing, but we had maybe a couple of arguments that week, right? And
wait, you and who?
Me and the person I'm dating.
Okay.
Me and the person I'm with. And we had a couple of arguments that week. And she looked at me and she just grabbed my hands and she said, hey, I'm on your side here. Right? This doesn't have to be confrontational. This doesn't have to be you pulling away. This doesn't have to be you right, you perfect, I'm on your side here, right? Mm-hmm. And so in that moment, she reflected back to me, why are we doing this? And that helps, right? There's nothing you really can fix for somebody else, but you can always make them aware of what they're doing, because most of the times we don't know we're doing it.
Yes, and did you listen to how Dr. Ish made this hypothetical person aware? He didn't say, you walk in here with such an attitude all the time. There is a right way and a wrong way. And at some level, we know when we're doing it the right way and we know when we're doing it the wrong way. But approaching our loved ones is something that we talk about in so many MedCircle series, because it is something that is actually so easy, I feel like. And we get so caught up in the rigmarole and the emotions of it, we make it very difficult and we don't do it that well.
Right. Kyle, you know what? You bring up a very critical point. Do you know what is the number one question? Study came out a couple of months ago. Do you know what is the number one question asked in 2020?
Just to like Google?
Just to Google. Just asked by people to other people in America in 2020. The number one question is...
I don't know.
You would think. Number one question is, why do you do it that way?
Why do you do it that way?
Why do you wash those dishes that way? Why do you chew that way? Why does your fork hit the plate every time that way? Right? Why do you breathe that? Why do you sit that way? Why do you wear your jogging pants? Right? Because we've been spending so much time with each other.
Yeah.
Right? So it goes back to say, it's all about your approach. That is a horrible approach. But that is the number one question. Why do you do it that way? Because you're getting on my nerves.
Right. I get that. Very interesting. How can we deal with the core belief that sexual intimacy is bad and dirty?
Yeah, you definitely got to unlearn some things there. Because that speaks to a larger cultural issue of where we are and what we're doing. And for us in this culture, when it comes to men and when it comes to women, they're two different tracks, right? And so the double standard is real. The double standard is there. Women have been taught that the thing that you really want is virtue, and to be virtuous, you have to be pure. And and then there's a whole nother spectrum of beliefs about what that purity means. But it means, well, one person, I'm saving it for marriage, and then that, and that's this whole thing. That's why we wear white, and that's why it's such a beautiful day, and he's the only one, or they've been the only one. But on the guys, but for guys, it's a whole different thing, right? It's notches on your belt. It's attaboys, it's pats on the back, right? You think about this. If a guy, let's say 25, 30 years old, tells his guy friends he's only ever been with 3 women. What? Oh, right? That's a whole different. But if a woman shows up and tells a group of guys, yeah, slept with 5 guys, but right? It's a whole, because we have this cultural thing. And so the first thing you got to do is detach yourself from what culture has taught you, right? Because it's just wrong. You are human. You have ownership of your body, and you have a right to do the things that feels good with your body. Mm-hmm. And you do not have to have anybody else co-sign on that for you. And so that is a, but it's hard. And so it's hard to remind yourself that where everything you look and everything you see, especially depending on where you live, is informing you otherwise. So you have to constantly be intentionally re-informing yourself of the truth of who you are, which is, yeah, wait, it is my body and I get to make it feel good regardless of what anybody else thinks, because I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not forcing or coercing anybody into helping me feel good. These are mutual decisions I'm making. So that's the bigger thing. But that's a tough fight, because it's not just an internal thing, unlearning what mom and dad's presence taught me, or what mom and dad's lack of presence might have taught me, right? I've also got to fight this larger cultural stereotype that says, if I go out and do this thing, I am somehow a bad person, or in this case, a bad woman, because women are the ones who get the bad rap on that.
I understand. MedCircle member asks, what are some of the steps you can take to get over someone you are in love with who does not feel the same way about you? Please answer this question. I want to know the answer to this question.
Oh my! First of all, I have been there, and I hate that you are there right now, because I have been there, and I know how that feels. It is misery. Oh, the worst feeling in the world is coming to realize that the person you want doesn't want you back.
Oh God! Oh,
right? There's right. It makes my skin crawl just saying it out loud, right? And so again, okay, well, how do you do that? There's some very concrete steps you can do to get past that, right? If we know that this is not happening, there's some concrete things you can do to compassionately detach. Number 1, just do that. No contact. Cannot have any contact. Do not text them, and if they text you, don't even read it. Just don't, because you're moving on, right? You've made a decision that this isn't working and I'm moving on, okay? So now that word decide means, the literal definition means to turn away from. I am turning away from this relationship because there's not the love I need there. And so I'm gonna do this other thing. So now we're not gonna have any contact. We're not gonna meet up. We're not gonna have coffee. We're not gonna Skype. I'm not even gonna return your texts. I need that space. I need that emotional space. And sometimes that means I need some physical space. Now, second thing you got to do, Kyle, is if you're going to take the island, you got to burn the boats. So if you've got some stuff lying around the house, those mementos, those reminders, those old pictures, a sweatshirt they wore the whole time we're there, get rid of it. Get rid of it. You got to put it in a box. And if you're not ready to throw it all the way, then you go find your best friend, your best family member, you put it in a box and you say, here, take this, right? Just put it under your bed, put it in your closet. If I need it from you, I'll let you know. But for now, I need it out of my sight. The thing that keeps you stuck, one of the things that keeps you coming back more than anything else, more than the memories, is your smell. Right? And so if you're eating something that you guys, a favorite meal, that smell brings you back. It's like, oh, I remember the last time I had this. We were at that outdoor cafe and gazing into each other's eyes, and the sun was setting just right. And now you're right back in it. So if you got an old sweatshirt, old perfume, whatever those things that tie you with a sense of smell, get rid of it. And then the third step is really doing your Superman thing and going to your fortress of solitude, right? You've got to spend some time alone. You've got to spend some time learning how to give yourself those things you weren't getting in that relationship, right? You got to, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You got to spend some time learning how to enjoy your own company. Because if I don't enjoy my own company, why should I expect anybody else to?
That's right. And you're always with yourself. RuPaul, when he says, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? That is it.
Right. That's it. It's not an oversimplification. It's so true. I can't give you something that I don't have, right? I just can't. You got some experts out there who say, well, it's so cliche. We need to get that. No, that is the simple truth. Like right now, Kyle, you know what I want more than anything in this world right now? I want a watermelon. Could you please give me one, sir?
I can.
Why? You know what it is. You've seen a watermelon. I'm quite sure you tasted it before. Please, we're friends. Give me one. Why would you not do that?
I would if I could. I just can't. I'm not with you.
And you probably don't have one in your refrigerator right now.
No, I don't.
Right. So you can't give it to me.
Right.
Okay?
No.
We know, right? We all know what these things are, but unless we have it in abundance for ourselves, we just can't give it. And so that's the rub. But getting over that breakup. So those are the 3 action steps you can take, right? Yep. Cut the contact, remove all mementos, and then get some alone time. But now to understand it, right? We always want to understand, okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? How do I feel about it? Let's understand it. Why? Why do I love this person who doesn't love me back? Well, because, right? Well, because I've been single for a long time and I was just tired of being alone. Okay, great. Why? Why were you tired of being alone? Well, because when I'm alone, I'm bored. Go ask yourself those 5 whys, right? Well, if I'm alone, I start to have, some thoughts and I don't really like some things I think about myself. Well, why? Why is that? Well, because when I really think about who I am, I feel like there's a lot of things that I still need to do and a lot of things I need to brush up to be more, to show up more fully in my life in order to get those things. And if those things don't happen, if that doesn't happen, then what? Well, if those things don't happen, that means I probably don't really deserve to be loved like that, right? And now you just figured out why it is you're stuck on somebody who ain't stuck on you.
Y'all, do not confuse the simplicity of that line of questioning with easiness of execution.
Right.
This can take some time, some internal thought. I mean, this might be a deal where you leave your phone at home and you take a walk by yourself and you think about that, because this is simple, which is great, but the application can really lead you down a path. But try it. Why not try it? This is great stuff.
Just try it. Just try it. Yeah. The easiest things, the hardest things to do in life are also the most simple.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because life has taught us that we have to hustle for our worthiness. And if we're not out here hustling for it, then it must not be worth it.
If you are not suffering, you're not working hard.
Right?
Yeah,
If you're not suffering, if you're not exhausted, trying to overproduce, if you're not going on a lack of sleep, if you're not having to down gallons of coffee, then whatever you're doing is not worth it. Therefore, right? So we've been taught that we got to hustle for this thing. And what I'm telling you is, no, you don't. You made it. You made it here. Hustle over. Right?
Love it. On Facebook and YouTube, leave some love for Dr. Ish, please. I would love for you to come back. I mean, you are coming back for your second part of this the class. That class will be 90 minutes long. You can register at medcircle.com/live for Dr. Ish. Also look into a MedCircle free trial. You get a whole week free, access to all of our services and offerings. Learn more at medcircle.com. Dr. Ish, where can everyone find you?
Well, I'm easy to find, man. Just go to the website, drishmajor.com, drishmajor.com. Got a lot of really cool free stuff. I give away there. I think I got like a top 20 question and answers, most often asked questions and answers there. I've got a really cool compatibility quiz that I do for couples. For every couple who comes on our show, on Marriage Boot Camp, I give them all our celebrity couples this compatibility quiz because I just really want to know, do y'all match or not? Right? And so it's a lot of those questions there, Kyle, that we don't ask each other when we're getting to know each other, because we don't really want to know the answer, because if I get the truth of it, then that means we may not be as close as possible. Like about child rearing, about finances. What do you feel about your health? How are we going to handle family and friends? So you can download that for free. And the folks have a really good time with that. And we got Take Home Boot Camp, which we kind of go over those 6 relationship killers when it comes to communication, sex, trust, forgiveness, blame, all of those things that usually get your relationship off track, and kind of go week by week through that. So it's some really cool stuff happening there. Obviously, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, you got a great Instagram. Yes, excellent. We will include as many of those links as we can below these videos, and do not let this momentum leave you. Keep it going with your next step to register for Dr. Ish's next class. Again, medcircle.com/live. There are lots of other classes you can register for as well if the topic is of interest to you. Thank you for being here. And I'm Kyle Kittleson. Remember, whatever you're going through, you got this.